Mayor Karen Bass says she can't fire Casey Wasserman at this point, but she thinks he should step down as the chair of LA 28. Wasserman just put his talent agency up for sale after some top stars cut their links with this company. And it's not just executives in entertainment who are facing some of this new scrutiny for their now revealed connections to both Epstein and Maxwell. The head of Hyatt is stepping down, Tom Pritzker, saying in a statement, in part, "I exercised terrible judgment in maintaining contact with them, and there is no excuse for failing to distance myself sooner." And a top lawyer from Goldman Sachs also out after emails showed her ties to Epstein, where she described him as an older brother. A Goldman Sachs rep says Kathy Rumler regrets ever knowing him. Rumler previously said she was friendly with Epstein only in the context of being a criminal defense attorney. None of these people have been charged with any crimes or accused of wrongdoing related to Epstein by officials. Let's bring in Mel Zanona now, because this fallout, this web, we've talked about it, right? That these newly revealed Department of Justice documents that are put out show just how connected he was, and the people sort of at these sort of high levels of culture, of sports, of politics, of academia, and more.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it really has been a slow-moving wave of resignations and investigations, but we are starting to see some of the fallout. And the latest example you touched on would be Tom Pritzker. He is the executive chairman of the Hyatt Group, the Hyatt Hotels. He decided to step down from his role after it came out that in these emails, he maintained really friendly contact with Jeffrey Epstein, even after that 2008 conviction, including one email where Epstein tried to enlist him to help him to get hotel reservations for a woman in Asia. Now, he's not accused of wrongdoing, Pritzker, but he did acknowledge his poor judgment. And in explaining his decision to step down, he did say, "Good stewardship also means protecting Hyatt, particularly in the context of my association with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, which I deeply regret." And to your point, this is also hitting Hollywood now, because Casey Wasserman is selling his talent agency after a number of artists cut ties with his agency, after it was revealed he had flirtatious text messages with Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, Wasserman has said that while he deeply regrets that correspondence, he did note it was before he knew and before it came to light all of her horrific crimes. But despite the calls on him to step down as the chairman of the 2028 Olympics, the board is standing by him. They said in a statement that we found Mr. Wasserman's relationship with Epstein and Maxwell did not go beyond what has already been publicly documented. So perhaps one area where we might not see fallout, but I'm sure the calls are going to continue here.
We've seen Congress, obviously, as you well know, your beat doing what they can with Ro Khanna, with Thomas Massie, with others, the House Oversight Committee, to get these files public. You've now got New Mexico, we've just learned, greenlighting an investigation into a now infamous ranch that Epstein owned in that state?
Yeah, really interesting. State lawmakers passed a bill that is formally greenlighting an investigation into Zorro Ranch. That is one of Epstein's properties. It's located in New Mexico. It's a sprawling estate, and this is where he is said to have trafficked and sexually assaulted numerous girls. And so this investigation is going to take the form of a bipartisan commission. They're going to be able to seek testimony not only from survivors, but also from anyone who visited this estate as well. They're going to have subpoena power, and they're also going to be able to deliver a report of their findings. So this could add to the growing fallout surrounding Epstein.
Mel Zanona, thank you for keeping us up to speed on all of that. Appreciate it.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or watch live on our YouTube channel.